in our series of exclusive interviews with presidents that are seen as game changers. I have the pleasure today to be with Mr. Ken Jenkins, president of Castle Building Centers Group, which is celebrating its 55th year of foundation in 2018. Mr. Jenkins, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bienvenue à Montréal.
Thank you, Richard, for the invitation.
You are by far the most communicative CEO of any banners in the country. Castle is publishing, 3 magazines? And on another hand, with a more personal touch, you are signing a blog that addresses many economical and, I would say, social and political issues. Why all those efforts?
I think, Richard, having been in the industry now close to 25 years, you reach a stage in your career where you want to give something back. I believe shared experiences are one of the best things that I can contribute to this industry. And trying to raise the bar as how the industry operates really is what is behind my blog. So I've spent the last year and a half now writing periodically. It's a time-consuming experience, as I'm sure you're well aware anytime you're involved in any type of publications. But really what the intent of the blog is not to promote Castle, not to promote our banner or our brand. It's to share best practices, business experiences. It's focused on the independent, on the entrepreneur. And having had the opportunity to now operate in the industry for more than 20 years, meeting with independent entrepreneurs from coast to coast, I've tried to take a lot of that knowledge and experience that I've received and unroll it to the industry.
It's going to be 12 years you are in charge of Castle. You are witnessing many changes. One of them is the important consolidation of the market. Castle is, let's say, mid-size format. How do you see your future in this more and more integrated continental economy?
Well, I think it's an ongoing question, and it's one that I challenge our business with every year. No doubt the consolidation continues throughout the North American marketplace and will continue to a degree. What I've also experienced in the last 10 to 12 years is a significant resurgence of the independent in our channel. Back in the mid to late 90s, Richard, when the big boxes started to penetrate the Canadian market, we saw a change of direction for the independent. And it forced the independent to get better at what they do and really focus in on that service, that element of providing a great customer experience in order to be able to survive in the channel. And so that, I believe, to me is the most encouraging part of what I've experienced over the last 10 to 12 years. And as a mid-sized buying group, we're very comfortable with our position in the marketplace because it's not about our structure and size that's important. It's what we deliver to our members that is ultimately important. And you know, our buying power is very competitive. But most important, when I look at how we position ourselves in the industry, cost of goods to the dealer is an important part of the relationship. But the cost of the buying group to the dealer is equally important. And so we focus heavily on not only the cost of goods, but also the cost of our presence within our members' network. And I think that combination has positioned us very, very well. We are very difficult to compete with based on the cost side because we focus so much of our energy back at the dealer level. So I think, you know, as we continue to evolve, as the industry continues to evolve, as the consolidation continues to occur, I think there is a large network of opportunity for independent entrepreneurs that are well positioned in the Canadian market.
Is there chances that Castle could merge with another player we know?
I think the conversation on where the future goes is always a relevant topic. Richard, in the last dozen years with Castle, I've been involved in some very significant conversations with many of my competitors in the marketplace. We have obviously not found a fit that works in our strategy. And what's important for us in our strategy is the alignment with the independent. Mm-hmm. And so it's somewhat difficult and somewhat limiting in the industry today to find that kind of partnership based on some of the structures that we currently compete with.
Mm-hmm. I was in Orlando recently for the Builders Show, shopping at the Whole Food Market, which has been bought by Amazon. In Quebec, meanwhile, the supermarkets Metro are buying the pharmacie Jean Coutu. Is it possible that a retailer from totally another sector could take over a chain of hardware stores here in Canada?
Again, I would say anything is potential. I believe that as you articulate the Amazon acquisition of Whole Foods, and I look at it from a different perspective. You know, is the executive of Amazon looking down the road? Do they see the e-commerce environment at some point plateauing in its value? Do they see a need to be back and involved in more bricks and mortar? Last week, while down in the US at the Builders Show, I picked up an article of a rumor that Amazon was interested in Target in the United States. And so are they thinking down channel? Are they thinking of more of a integrated approach to market? So whether it's within our channel or outside of the current building material environment, I think any type of synergy or acquisition is potential down the road.
Ken, let's talk about the size of the renovation centers. While giants we thought eternal like Sears or Toys R Us are disappearing, in our sector, nothing seems to move. The big box names like Home Depot, Lowe's or Canadian Tire are still dominating. What do you see in your crystal ball?
I believe there's definitely a home that has been carved out by some of the box retailers in our channel. I also noticed, though, there's some changes happening within that big box format, and where they originally came to market very fixated on building materials and hardware, much of their categories are now reshaping. You see many more appliances. You see much more focus on seasonal items in the box environment. And I believe they're having to adjust to changing consumer demands. And part of that changing consumer demand is back in the mid-90s, early 2000, when the boxes were at their peak, was very much during a period of demographics where people were out there doing work on their own. So you were the weekend warrior, you're out putting your back deck in, you were renovating your basement. As demographics in Canada continue to age, we become much more reliant on service. And so I believe that's where the box category has its weakness, is in the service component to the consumer and to the contractor. Conversely, it's the strength of the independent. That's where they've always resided. And I think if an independent looks to be successful in the future, whether competing in a rural market or an urban market, the focus on service is what I think is going to bring them their greatest success.
It brings me to a law of physics. Nothing is lost, nothing is created, everything is transformed. You share my worries regarding the relative passivity of retailers of our sector concerning the e-commerce.
I believe that e-commerce is part of a bigger business strategy. Do I believe it requires total fixation, at least in our channel from the independent? No. But I do believe in order to be relevant, you need to have a presence in that environment. But it's not just e-commerce. It's a social advertising presence. It's a way in which to communicate to a new generation of consumers that are coming through the pipeline. So I see it as a larger part of good business strategy. I ultimately believe, though, that home improvement stores are destination stores. People are going there because they have a need. And so really what you need to create is, be it an online or an in-store presence where people want to return to your place to shop. And I think, again, focusing back on that service, knowledge, experience piece is where the independent can play a key role. So, e-commerce, in my opinion, does have a role to play. Maybe not to the same degree as some other high fashion industries, maybe not as to the same degree as the food industry. I do believe, though, it's part of a larger business solution for an independent.
Do you think that the CEO of the banners should work together on some issues, or you think that it is impossible to sit together, all together, and to address some problems that we have in common? Like, for instance, the difficulty to find employees. Everybody is in the same situation. Maybe we're able to find common solution to those problems, or?
I believe it's long overdue. I think we're at a point now. You bring up labor. It's past a critical point in this industry. I have dealers in certain parts of Canada that can't grow their business because they can't find people to either manage, run, and some of it is technical skills, some of it is very just labor-based skills. And so we've got a real challenge in the labor market. We've got issues politically, like we've seen again in 2017, where I believe if we can bring the minds of this industry together to work on larger collaborative solutions, it just strengthens the people that we represent. And ultimately, we're here to serve somebody's need. In my case, it's an independent channel. But the more we can do collectively as as an industry to benefit those that are involved daily in trying to make a living, I think there's great value in that objective.
An inevitable question about Quebec. How much Quebecers, from your point of view, are different from the other business people in Canada? Is it only a question of language, or you see us as different on other aspects?
I think it starts from the culture. I think the culture here is very tangible. You can feel the culture when you're in Quebec, be it whether it's personal or whether it's business related. Your culture is tangible in this province. I've had the opportunity to do business in Quebec now for more than 20 years. I was a supplier to the market for a number of years before joining Castle. And so I've had the opportunity to see what breeds success in the market of Quebec. And what we've noticed is that to be successful in Quebec, we have to be in Quebec. And so we have to have people in Quebec servicing the Quebec market. But everything from your love of food, to your love of wine, to your family, everything has a distinct feel in Quebec. And then that penetrates up through business, and you can see that there's a passion to how Quebecers do business.
When I started as a person in charge of AQMAT 10 years ago, same day today, I think, there was not really Castle stores in the province of Quebec. Maybe there was one with Hudson, Jack. And now you gain many stores. Why some people from Quebec are, joining Castle? What's the main reasons from what you understand?
I would say, Richard, the late evolution of Castle in Quebec was our fault. We did not commit enough time and energy to the market. So as Castle developed nationally, we seemed to go out of Ontario and into Atlantic Canada. It did not pay enough regard or attention for the province of Quebec. And that was our mistake. So over the last 7 to 8 years, we've been looking to correct that mistake. And in ensuring that our structure could support the needs of Quebec-based members. And from that, we knew that our business strategy was successful in other parts of the country, and it was just a matter of getting our message effectively to market. And so we spent a lot of time ensuring that we have done that on a very individualized basis. And so Castle never grows in multiple dealers at a time. We grow one dealer at a time. But that's why we don't lose dealers from our network as well, because we immerse them into our culture and we identify what their needs are. And then we work daily at trying to earn their business. And so one of the key components to Castle is there are no difficult contracts involved in a relationship from a dealer to Castle. I believe we need to operate in real time to earn that business. And our evolution to Quebec is slow. But we expect that evolution to continue, and we think our business has great value. And we know if it's successful in BC or Ontario or in Newfoundland, we believe we can bring that same dynamic here to the province of Quebec. Mm-hmm. When we are in the marketplace promoting who we are, we don't pull punches. We come at it very, very distinctly. And we have a very strong message to deliver to the marketplace. And so from a bold perspective, I would like to believe that we're professional in our approach to market, but we're definitely going to upset some people in how we bring our message to market, because we believe it has a value that needs to be heard. And so as opposed to us spending a lot of time in developing broad campaigns on how to get a message to market, we're just going to go out and say it.
It was a pleasure and an honor to have you in Montreal, so have a great 2018 year.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard. My pleasure.